You know all those Christmas traditions? The twinkling lights, the decorated tree, the gifts? They feel like they've been around forever, right? Well, what if I told you that most of what we think of as Christmas has a really surprising and, honestly, a pretty wild history? Today, we're going to peel back the layers and find out where our favorite traditions actually come from. So, where do they really come from? It seems like a simple question, but the answer is a journey. It takes us through ancient festivals, some serious royal trendsetting, and yeah, even modern advertising. The story behind that tree in your living room and the Santa Claus we all know is way more interesting than you'd think.
First up, we've got to go way, way back in time. Long before Christmas was even a thing, people all over Europe were throwing these massive parties during the darkest time of the year. And these ancient roots, well, they're the foundation for pretty much everything.
We're talking about festivals like Saturnalia in Rome and Yule in Northern Europe. The whole point was to celebrate the winter solstice, the shortest, darkest day of the year. They were celebrating the fact that the sun was finally coming back. And how'd they do it? With huge feasts, by giving each other gifts, and by bringing evergreen plants inside to symbolize that life goes on, even in the middle of winter. Sound familiar?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is you can see the connection plain as day. Feasting, gift-giving, greenery. These things weren't invented for Christmas. Nope. They were basically borrowed and woven right into the Christian holiday as it spread. It was a pretty smart way to make it feel more familiar to people.
Okay, let's jump forward a few hundred years because this next part is a huge turning point. While the roots are ancient, the Christmas that you and I would actually recognize, that was pretty much designed in the 19th century. The Victorians basically gave the holiday a complete makeover and turned it into this big family event.
And believe it or not, it kind of all started with this. In the 1840s, this illustration of Queen Victoria and her family around a decorated Christmas tree was published everywhere. I mean, this picture went viral for its time. Suddenly having a Christmas tree was the coolest, most fashionable thing you could do. First in Britain, and then in America and beyond. Talk about the ultimate influencer.
And that royal endorsement kicked off a total Christmas boom. So, in the 1840s, the tree gets popular. Then, just a decade later, you have the first mass-produced Christmas cards showing up. And by the 1880s, giving gifts, especially to kids, had become a huge central part of the whole celebration. The holiday was really starting to look like the one we know today.
So, you have all these new, super popular traditions taking hold, and it was only a matter of time before business saw a massive opportunity. The demand for trees and decorations and gifts created a whole new industry, and this is where the holiday starts its big shift from a family festival to a full-blown shopping season.
This really breaks down the chain reaction perfectly. The popular trees created a huge demand for something to hang on them. At first, you had these beautiful handmade glass ornaments coming from workshops in Germany. But then, factories started pumping out cheaper decorations, making them affordable for pretty much everyone. And that right there, that's the moment celebrating Christmas gets directly tied to spending money.
Okay, on to the 20th century. This is where the awesome power of advertising steps in to create the single most recognizable icon of the entire holiday. You know who I'm talking about, Santa Claus. And this is the story of how he got his modern look.
The key decade here? The 1930s. It was during this time that a huge, incredibly influential ad campaign from a very famous soft drink company helped lock in the image of Santa Claus for the entire world. And this brilliantly illustrates just how big of a deal the Coca-Cola campaign was. Before the 1930s, Santa was kind of all over the place. Sometimes he was tall and skinny, sometimes he looked like an elf, and he wore robes that were blue or green or tan. But Coke's ads always showed him as this big, jolly, friendly guy in a bright red suit. That image was so powerful and people saw it so many times that it just stuck. It became the Santa Claus we all recognize around the globe.
Which brings us to today. Our modern Christmas is this really complex mix of everything we've talked about. A little ancient ritual, a lot of Victorian family values, and a heavy dose of 20th century commerce. But now, a totally new conversation is starting to pop up. One that's asking, have we gone too far with the consumerism?
This is the big question a lot of us are asking now, right? Shopping is still obviously a huge part of the season, but more and more people are aware of the environmental cost and are looking for a more meaningful way to celebrate. What do you think?
And in response to that feeling, we're seeing this whole movement towards a more mindful Christmas. It's a real shift in priorities. People are focusing on reusing decorations, buying fewer gifts but making them more meaningful, supporting local shops, and really prioritizing experiences with family and friends over just stuff.
This quote just nails the challenge we're facing. It says, "The future of Christmas may depend on finding a balance between tradition, enjoyment, and sustainability." And that's really it. How do we keep the parts we love, the tradition and the fun, while also being a little more responsible? That's the balance we're all trying to figure out.
So, as we look to the future, what's going to be the driving force? Will it be the pull of those ancient traditions, the unstoppable pressure of commerce, or maybe a growing collective conscience? It's definitely something to think about this holiday season.